All right, ladies and gentlemen. You all ready to rock and roll? Okay. So call the special open council meeting of Wednesday, December 16th to order.
You are alone in the conference. You'll be disconnected.
Can you get Derek to connect again, please?
Let's call the special meeting to order. We were going to move an item to the front, so if we do get the other fellows participating, Councilors Hong and Yocum, we'll just keep dragging our feet on that item until they come on board.
Sounds good, Your Worship, whatever you wish.
Great, so,
It looks like we got disconnected, so in a couple of minutes we'll connect again.
okay.
Yeah.
So Councilors Hong and Yocum are on the line, and or were supposed to be on the line, but I gather they haven't come in yet. So introduction of late items. So just to make one move, which is to move item 4J to the front of the agenda, as close to the front as possible. I was going to put it on right after the adoption agenda, but we're going to hang on to that for a minute until the other fellows join us. If they don't, before the meeting, we'll just have to cover that. Any other late items, Mr. Ferraro?
No, Your Worship, except what you have on the addendum. If you want, I can go through them, or
Sure.
green sheets. So the green sheets, what we're going to do is we're removing item 4B, which is the 2015 Grants Advisory Committee recommendation number 4. We're also removing item 4E, which is the H Friendly British Columbia recognition. And we're adding item 4J, which is the Financial Plan Bylaw 2015-7222 for final adoption tonight. And also under item 7A, we're adding section 91A, personal information about an identified individual who holds and being considered for a position as an officer, employee, or agent of the municipality and a position appointed by the municipality.
Great. Thank you. So can I have
So moved, amended.
as amended and seconded, please? Seconded by Councilor Clark. Thank you. Discussion? Seeing none, call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. So council report. First one is the staff rec is health and safety statistics. That is a motion that council receive for information the report pertaining to health and safety statistics. Can we have a mover, please?
So moved.
Councilor Brennan, thank you. Seconder? Thank you, Councilor Kidd. Any discussion? Councilor Westwood.
Is the author here?
Yes, right there.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, hi, thanks a lot. I don't want to speak with my back. I'm gonna have to read a little bit.
Call it in and then actually just hold it.
As it relates, these are injury statistics. Is it also for health related or stress leave related or any of those other things? Or is this just straight injuries?
These are only injuries for
Only injuries.
city workers.
And is this only QP staff or is this exempt staff as well?
It would be everyone's, QP, IAFF, exempt as well.
So would these numbers look different? Would the charts and graphs and things look different if it included exempt staff?
So really the question is, have there been any exempt WCB injuries? And the answer is no, there haven't been any exempt WCB injuries.
WCB injuries, has there been any, so this is only injury related, this is not about leave for other reasons?
No, only injury related.
So, sorry, so there would be another graph or list or otherwise if we were asked for it for non-related injuries.
So non-related sickness basically, yes.
Yeah, or leave for other reasons.
Yes, we have that information.
For the entire body of staff.
Yes.
Any other speakers? Seeing none, call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carried.
This, Your Worship, a point that's worth health and safety. I want to point out the health and safety issue right here. And there. That's right, elephant protecting the camera.
Alrighty, next item, Grants Advisory Committee recommendations. There's 3 recommendations. The fourth has been struck, and that is, can I get the mover for the motion? And do we want to do the seriatim or as a group?
You might wish to do them seriatim, I suspect.
Okay, so should I have somebody move number 1, please? Move number one, seconded by Council Floyd. Thank you. Discussion. Seeing none, call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Next one, item 2. Member Mover. Great, thank you. Seconded by Councilor Floyd. Thank you. All those in favor? Discussion.
I'll speak to it, Your
Sure.
Worship. This came up, I believe, 3 years ago to the Grants Advisory Committee, the same request. It's the SPCA wanting $25,000 for their SNP program, which assists low-income people to get their pets spayed and neutered. And their request was for a $25,000 grant from the Grants Advisory, which is, our budget is only $5,000, so we denied them that. But as was done last time around, we recommended that they receive this money through the council contingency fund. So the recommendation was based on that past practice, but there might be discussion at this table.
Okay. Any other speakers? Very well, thank you. Call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Next one, item 3. To award.
Move number 3.
Okay, seconder, Councilor Besser, thank you. Any discussion? Seeing none, call the question. All those in favor?
On issues like this, and the ground amount of 2,500 to upgrade agencies' computers, we have a lot of computers. Do we ever push them out to groups like this? I know we put them for sale and that, but do we ever, because, I mean, some of our computers, like Councilor Besser said, the ones we had maybe down at the convention center were hard to use, but they were dated, and they had software issues, but do we ever pass them out?
Yeah, we do, Your Worship. We have a program, either we put it from auction or we donate those computers to some non-profit organizations as well. The challenge that we've had, Councilor Kipp, is many times when computers are older, let's say 8 to 10 years old, nobody really wants them because it's more hassle than anything else. So what they do, the best use of the computer is what they do is they take the parts and they use it for creating a much better computer. So that's the better use of the donation.
I got quite a few frames in my house.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other speakers? Seeing none, call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next item. 2015-16 Parks and Rec Fees and Charges Review. This to be introduced by Councilor Thorpe, Chair, Parks, Recs and Commission, and Recreation, Parks and Recs Commission, pardon me.
Thank you, Your Worship. There's 2 recommendations starting on page 12 of the agenda. And Mr. Harding can jump in and assist me if I forget anything. But basically, it is time in the yearly cycle for Parks and Recreation to examine our user fee rates. And the recommendation is that rather than take committee time to do that at this juncture, it might be just as well and efficient to leave it pending the core review, rather than go through a process, make recommendations, and then have them maybe be at odds to the core review findings. So the recommendations are to leave things as they are for now until the core review is finished. Does that sum it up, Mr. Harding?
Yeah, it is. So typically we'd be coming to council with a bylaw in, say, June, and then implementing new fees in September of 2016. And when we wrote this report, we weren't sure of the time frame of the core services review, so we didn't know if it was going to take 4 months or a year to do. So this, I know now council has a desire to have it by the end of March. When we wrote this, we weren't sure what the time frame was, but as you know, fees and charges is one of those debatable issues, and it's, you know, either it's too much or it's too little, or the user pays too little, or the general taxpayer pays too much. So we thought that may be something of interest in the core services review, what we want to look at philosophies around recreation and parks fees.
Any other speakers? So there's a motion. We need a second.
I'll move the recommendations 1 and 2.
Thank you. Seconder? Councilor Bennett, thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, call the question. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Next item, purchase of 2 new tandem axle split stream automated garbage trucks. There's a staff recommendation on page 16 to authorize staff to purchase the 2 new CNG powered tandem axle split stream, blah, 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 blah. You've got it on here. on your agenda. And in the event that a CNG filling station does not proceed, then staff is authorized to award as above with diesel power at a cost of $370,006, including tax per unit. So we'll need a mover, please.
So I'll move number 1.
Okay? So we're gonna do them seriatim.
There's no second.
Oh,
I'll second that.
Okay, seconded, okay, moved and seconded.
Yes.
Number 1.
Can I speak to that?
Yep.
Given the fact that probably purchases 3, 4, 5, and 6 would be preferable to be the CNG models, it doesn't make sense to me to do number 2 if the Fortis doesn't come through with the commitment to do the fueling station at the co-op. So I wouldn't want to be driving around in 2 years from now with 2 or 3 or 4 new models and then 2 new models a year old on diesel. Like it does, there seems to be some conflict there for me. I'm in favor of ordering these, but I'm not in favor of ordering diesel if Fortis doesn't come through by December 31st. So my question is there not some alternate place that we can fill these up if it's for 6 months or 3 months or 9 months? And until such time as Fortis does come through, because eventually they're going to.
So Your Worship, I'm expecting Fortis will be giving us good news before the end of December. I know I spoke to representatives from the co-op, and they have their agreements in place, so their contracts are signed. However, in speaking to Fortis, if there is a gap, they are prepared to find ways of looking after that gap, including something mobile if need be. I feel strongly confident that we will have something before the end of the year. But I understand the concern. There isn't a good, real alternative for us at this point.
So the RDN doesn't use this same method?
Wasn't pricing a significant issue up there?
Your Worship, there was a pricing concern, there was an access concern, there was an insurance concern. There was many reasons that this seemed to be a solid option for us.
And that was because their compressor up there is owned by BC Transit, I think.
Yeah, there was a partnership,
Right.
Your Worship, with BC Transit.
And they dictate the price.
And the people that built that compression station, which is not Fortis.
So there's no other alternative beyond RDN other than a mobile unit at this time? Is that what I'm hearing you say?
And in Your Worship, yes, I think that's one of the benefits of authorizing CNG is we'll be part of the solution as far as a community CNG filling station, because currently there isn't one.
So if I could, Cold Star's got 10 trucks. Do you know when Nanaimo Cold Storage is taking delivery of their first 5? Have you heard anything?
I don't, but I understand that Nanaimo Cold and City of Nanaimo, Fortis needs our contribution to be able to push the
Right.
start button.
Right, and the only fuel that's available other than the RDM right now is at Fortis, and it's about a 15 or 20 minute fill.
Your Worship, what they have is a very small cascade system
Right.
that we don't have access to because it's not open to the public, it's behind their compound gates, and it would be slow for our equipment.
Thank you very much. And I just have one comment. We're a partner with the regional district, and I have to suspect that as a partner, we would wish to be working cohesively and collaboratively, regardless of the fact who built it and its transit, and I don't know what the liability thing could be. There's buses driving in there, there's trucks driving in there, right? So, and I'm sure that they've got a pretty good price. I think they got a pretty good price. And we pay for part of that price, do we not? Are we gonna get a better price going to the co-op
Yes.
than we get at the
Yes.
RDN?
Yes.
Substantial. So
But
then should we be sending our buses? Should we be telling the RDN to send their buses there? So you mean to tell me that we built this thing and we're gonna be independent and we're gonna be able to get a better price at a co-op gas station with 10 other trucks, 12 or whatever it is, and we got buses, 50 of them on the road every day, 16 hours a day.
So
You just gave me some-
I do not know what the RDN charges themselves for their own fuel. I do know what they offered us, and as you said, the Fortis is a much better deal.
If I recall, the number was equivalent to diesel. So there was no benefit to the natural gas, we wouldn't fill up there. However, Fortis is prepared to offer us a screaming deal through the co-op by the price of the fuel that they're gonna give us at a special rate, which is about 75 cents.
I just have to see when the next transit select committee meeting is, thank you.
Is that it?
Yes.
Councilor Brennan?
Yeah, I'm 100% in support of number one. I think it makes sense. It's, seems almost certain that Fortis will come through with a method, and I think we should take this reasonable thing to do. This be reasonable thing to do.
Councilor Cook?
Thank you. There's $70,000 more vehicle over diesel. I'm not that certain the CNG is the greening of the environment that it's said to be. To the RDN issue, that's that deal I talked about with transit, where we have to buy those massive buses, most of the time empty, running through town here. And we have a pricing issue that we have to pay, right? Because we're buying through transit. And that's when we get into those deals like that, we get into problems. It is a bit odd that we wouldn't have a filling station out of that end of town, and then we build another filling station at the far end of town, and we can service everybody, because we are a regional. And I guess that gets to my point, where we're 5 separate governments with a regional district all doing their own thing. So with this one, I'm not stuck on CNG, but it is the new BC thing, and I just don't think it's going to take off, especially with the price of oil right now, and what that's doing. We're down, way down the road, the price right now. $37 US a barrel. It's, so is this going to take off, CNG? And when we're fighting our own selves for pricing and have to build a whole other station, and then talk about mobile LNG, what's our emergency response plan for mobile LNG for us? So I don't know, I say the bus system and the big buses we're buying and the cost of them, and it just, like you said, garbage trucks, the cost of these is really bumping up. What would it cost to take a diesel, now that we know we can fill a diesel, and change it later? Similar to other things we've talked about, changing them out later from, say, gas to electric, or propane to electric, or diesel to LNG. How much is the change of it?
It's a big deal.
Is it because the tank, and the engine, right?
So, Your Worship, I've never priced that out, but I don't think it's practical, and I'm sure it would be cost prohibitive. There's significant changes, it's not just the engine, there's all the after-treatment system, there's all the tankage.
No arms.
Yeah,
So
so
it's,
it's considerable.
the tanks, and,
Too bad they weren't dual fuel.
yeah.
Too bad somebody was coming in with dual fuel, because you could run dual fuel on diesel and switch it over to
Never
diesel
design a
slash.
house without 2 sources of heat. Never take a boat out without 2 engines.
Well, diesel powered boats with one engine are pretty much one source of power. Ms. Hammer.
Yeah, sir, I just wanted to respond to Councilor Brennan's comment. I just want to be clear, and I've discussed this with staff. We can't make any guarantees that it will go through with Fortis. We're very hopeful that that will happen, but in making your decision, please don't base it on that this will happen. That's why you have the 2 options before you.
Okay, so I recently signed the agreement, which was the funding agreement,
Contribution
the
agreement.
contribution agreement.
Yes.
And originally, with this deal, you're gonna get 50% of the 70,000, right? Of the conversion costs, for the additional.
That's the basic grant.
Yeah.
Included
And then
additional-
had we done the larger order, we would have got another 20%, we would have 70% on each one,
So,
because of the
Your
incentive.
Worship, we're gonna get 70% on these 2 trucks.
Already?
And what we've lost is probably that additional 20%
Right, right.
on the other trucks. Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
So, I recently signed the agreement, which was the funding agreement. And originally, with this deal, you're gonna get 50% of the 70,000, right? Of the conversion costs, for the additional. And then had we done the larger order, we would have got another 20%, we would have 70% on each one, because of the incentive.
So, Your Worship, we're gonna get 70% on these 2 trucks.
Right.
And what we've lost is probably that additional 20%
Right.
on the other trucks.
Okay. Councillor Bestwick and then Councillor Thorpe.
I've spoken, so.
Okay, Councillor Thorpe.
Thanks, I'd be willing to support recommendation number 1 because of the language in there that says provided Fortis guarantees the construction of the filling station, so that gives me some assurance.
Good.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Go ahead.
No, thanks. This is Canadian Development.
Right on. Okay, no further speakers, call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. And number 2. Need a mover for number 2.
So,
Councillor Kipp, thank you. Seconder? Need a seconder? Get on the floor.
I'll second it. What
Okay. Speakers, you want to speak to it? Who wants to speak to it? I see hands counting on.
I'm going to.
Councillor Brennan.
Yeah, I'm not in favor of this. I'm opposed to this. If we've been paying attention, I'm sure, to the talks in Paris, we, as a country, we have decided to deal with climate change in a real way, and I think that this flies in the face of those kinds of initiatives, and I won't support it. But what I would be able to do would be to refer this to the environmental planner for comments on the effects of diesel on the environment, and we'll leave it at that.
Do we have any numbers on the difference in emissions?
Yes, Your Worship. One truck being able to move from diesel to CNG will remove approximately just over 42 tons of GHG emissions annually per truck. So these 2 trucks moving to CNG will be in excess of 88 tons annually.
And that's combining nitrous oxide, CO2, everything?
Yes.
Great, thank you. Councillor Westman?
Thank you. I will be supporting purchasing for those reasons, and then come back in a year and a half and purchase CNG, whatever they are. I won't be supporting number 2.
Okay.
If it's not one, I'll vote against
Okay.
ordering anything.
Any other speakers? Okay, call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? Well, very good.
Let's hope for it.
Keep your fingers crossed.
somebody can go back to us. They like coming.
There you go. Thank you, Council. Next item, business license amendment bylaw 2015, proposed amendment to provide the operation of food trucks, and it's a 2-part motion on page 22. It's to receive for information and to direct staff to proceed. We're doing
Age friendly was pulled.
Oh, I'm sorry.
yeah, age friendly poll.
We were in conflict, age friendly was pulled.
Now you guys know how to get what you want, eh?
Okay, yeah.
All right. Can I have a mover to get them on the
So
table,
moved.
please?
1 and 2.
1 and 2, okay. Seconder? Thank you. Moved and seconded. Discussion. Seeing none, call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Bylaw. That business license amendment bylaw 2015, provide the operation of food trucks in the city of Nanaimo, passed first reading.
So moved.
Thank you. Seconded, thank you. Discussion. Seeing none, call the question. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries.
Move to pass second reading for bylaw 5351.
Okay. One seconder. Thank you. Discussion, seeing none, call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. College Park Water Main Development Cost Share. There's a motion the council approve the sole source award to for the College Park Water Main Development Cost Share to 0910337 BC Limited in the amount of $276,516.60. I always get nervous when I see these numbered companies for a purchase like that? What is it, do they have an email address that's at hotmail.com or? Can we have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Brennan, seconded by Councillor Kidd. Thank you. Discussion. Councillor Besser.
I'd like to know who the member company is. I think we've been in this position before, about 6 years ago, 5 years ago, 7 years ago. We were in the exact same position. We keep getting numbered companies asking for rezonings and a whole bunch of different things, and we didn't know who they were.
That's so complicated for us.
Well, how do you know?
Yeah.
So a numbered company, I don't know who this numbered company is, and I think this is just an example of where it can happen in other places. And we don't know who the numbered company is. And I know we've discussed this, we talked about identifying who the numbered companies were. At least, I don't know if that was the last one. I think it was 2 councils, yeah, I think it was 2 councils ago.
So, you're going to suggest that we're going to see if we can find out and come back to this item?
Yes, Your Worship. The corporate documentation should let us know who the shareholders are and directors. It's just that that person is absent at this time. If we're able to find it before the end of the meeting, we're also checking in to see whether or not the decision needs to be made.
Okay.
Can I just comment? I'm quite happy to
Move
do
it
this,
forward.
so that we don't
On the
stall it.
On the condition that.
And then if it comes back, and oh.
Well, yeah, somebody might have to declare on the next voting of it,
Okay.
might have to declare a conflict because we didn't know at this point.
So we're going to proceed with the vote.
If it was, I mean, I'm not saying we did.
And part of the, I know this isn't in camera, but we've done things where we've chosen not to do business with people because of other things, other reasons. And whether it's, if something's happened in the past and we have litigation, or litigation is still pending.
Excellent.
And that would be a gentleman that we all know very well, and I just don't want to mention names right now. It's got something to do with the dirt pile. So
then we would probably need a motion to put a condition, a friendly amendment on this. That pending, that the council will vote, but that's pending the identification of the numbered company, or the principals of it.
On the condition that the disclosure of the numbered company principals does not present a conflict of interest.
that's fine. And then moving forward, if we can think of that when these other things like this come up.
Councillor Gibb, did you want to add to that?
No, that was it.
Perfect. All right. So let's do it on the friendly amendment. To the amendment first, or can we do it together?
If it's a friendly amendment, Your Worship, by unanimous consent, you just include.
Okay, very good.
Yeah.
So the friendly amendment has been approved by consent. So all those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. District of Landsville appointment to Parks and Recreation Commission. The recommendation on page 37. Can I have a move?
All those are
Moved. And a second.
Second.
Thank you. Discussion. Seeing none, call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Advisory Committee minutes. There seems to be a wee bit, no, that's not the one. That's not the one. October 28th, Parks and Rec Commission regular meeting. For receipt. Can we have a move, please? Thank you. And seconded by Councilor Fuller. Thank you. Any discussion? Seeing none, call the question. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. The financial plan 2015-7222. I guess that's it. That was the item that we were going to hold, but seeing as neither one of the participants came in, can we have that moved for adoption, please?
So moved.
Thank you. And seconded.
I'm sorry, which one are we doing?
We're doing the financial plan adoption.
This is fourth reading.
Yes.
May I ask a question, please?
Can we get it seconded?
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah,
Okay,
I'll
sure.
second it.
Seconded. Okay, perfect. Go ahead.
My question, and I've asked you, but I just need you to look at me in the eye and tell me. So I don't recall a fourth reading of the provisional budget since I've been here. And I stand corrected if there's been fourth readings of provisional budget. So I just need confirmation that this fourth reading still allows us to make adjustments up or down.
Through the chair,
No, I said to look at me. You had to look at me.
the provisional budget has no force legislatively unless it's actually adopted into the financial plan. So what we're asking for is an adoption of a financial plan based on this provisional budget. And council has another shot at this in April, May to make amendments to the financial plan. And provincially, we have to have a final budget, the financial plan done by May 15. So yes, you will have an opportunity to make amendments.
And that is plural opportunities.
Plural, there's many times this.
Until such time as we adopt the 2016-2020 financial plan.
Even the permanent one, you still have the right to make amendments to it.
In 17, 18, 19, and 20. Okay, you looked at me in the eye, so I'll take your word for it. All
That's
right.
good.
There's no such thing anymore as a provisional budget. It's called a draft budget. And then it's adopted as a 5-year capital plan and a financial plan. And we can change it anytime we want. There's a council motions, we can bring forward motions at any time to change it. But I like the idea that it's called provisional. I did take that out a few years ago, I know, but I like the fact of where we're standing with it, the reductions and the movement that we've had on this. I really appreciate the work the staff's put into it.
Thank you.
Yes, compliment.
All right, call the question. All those in favor? Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you. I am not in favor of this provisional budget. I think that it, beginning at a 0% increase, sets up unrealistic expectations in the community, and I'm not in favor of that. And I'm particularly not in favor of those expectations being based on a proposed freeze to protective services. So I can't support this. I think the expectation is set by this, and I can't support it.
So I just wanted to comment on that, with respect to the expectation, and you would have helped fill up with the communications messages on this one. And I know that it clearly states in the communications messages that, you know, it's 0 for this year and what the projected increases are over the next 3 years or 4 years. And then it does talk about the averaging of those over the 4 years, but at least that's what I got. So I hope people are reading their news, so to speak. In any case, any other speakers? Councillor Thorpe.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. I'm prepared to support this, and I really do appreciate the work that Victor, you and your staff have done. But I'll support it on the assurance that Mr. Mima just gave to Councillor Bestwick, that there will be opportunities to have further discussion and possibly alterations.
Councillor Floor.
I'll support it based on eye contact.
He was looking at him though. He was looking at him.
I was watching.
Very good, thank you. And I as well would suggest that I support it based on the fact that that we've been given those assurances. I'm concerned about the RCMP predominantly. And what we're doing. So, all right, call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? Councillor Brennan opposed. Thank you. Motion carries. So, next item is question period. Mr. Boland.
Just a couple of quickies. I believe, if I'm correct, that the next council meeting will not be until January the 18th.
January 11th.
11th.
Yes.
Nearly a month. And many, 4 weeks. I'm just curious on this, as in other issues, why we cannot provide to the public preliminary or provisional minutes soon after the meeting, rather than waiting, particularly in this case where nobody who wasn't here is going to know what happened at this meeting for 4 weeks, which I think is unreasonable. So I would like to ask you to consider that option, but within days of a meeting, provisional minutes are provided to the public.
Okay, so, Mr. Boland, I'm just wondering if I could ask staff on that one, refer to staff. Is it covered in our procedures bylaw?
So you watch a couple of options that I can give. I mean, the video is being broadcast tomorrow, so anything that happened in this meeting will be live. It's not a practice that we have right now to do draft minutes and put it up. I mean, it's something that we may consider in the future. It's up to council if they want to work on it. There's holidays in the middle and so forth. So, but the video will be posted, so everybody who wants to know what happened in this meeting will be there.
Except that it's going to take them 2 hours, 3 hours, depending on the meeting. It takes hours to go through and try to find something. But as I said, I'm requesting that you consider it. I have no right to demand it.
I'm so happy for you to sit through the 3 hours with us.
And that's it. That was my question.
But the RTN does publish their unadopted minutes. We don't. I suspect it's something in the procedure bylaw.
Something that we may consider for sure.
Pardon me?
The lack thereof.
Okay.
If it helps, I'm live tweeting this.
All right. Any other questions? Seeing none, call for a motion to go in camera. Councillor Kemp.
And I think I mentioned the sections of the charter, please, Your Worship.
All righty. So the items that it's good that we'll be going in from their
A, B, C, and M.
A, B, C, and M. Thank you.
Is that a second?
Seconder? Good. I think you moved it, didn't you?
Can we take a break too between?
Sure.
I wouldn't mind so much.
Okay. Councillor Kemp moved it,
No, I have to.
and seconding it. Councillor Fuller, thank you. All in favor? Opposed?
So 10-minute break, 5:15. And we're still doing the same in-camera process here. The only staff that will be corporate